for coming on the show today, man. Coming from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Is that where you still live? I know that's where you're from.
So I've been here for about 10
Okay.
years. I grew up in Illinois, a town called Batavia, and then I moved to Milwaukee for college. I went to Marquette University 2012 to 2017.
Okay.
I studied engineering there, and then ever since I started doing I've been working engineering since then, and then just been living here as well, doing music and stuff.
Awesome.
So
Awesome. You're in Milwaukee now, but you said before we kind of started the interview, you're going to be moving to Idaho Falls.
yeah, pretty soon. Yeah, I haven't announced it or anything yet, but yeah, that's my house is on the market right now. I have a job lined up out there already. Awesome. With a start date and everything. So yeah, once I can get my house sold and then relocation can get involved, then yeah, I'm going to be moving to Idaho Falls to close the gap finally with my fiance.
Yeah.
So that's very exciting.
Very exciting.
For both
Yeah,
of
that's
us.
Idaho to how far is that?
Oh, it's at different time.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
That's
Yeah.
mountain time. Yeah, and we've been together for like 4 years, and it's been long distance, for basically not the whole
Yeah.
time, because when we first started dating, he was still he's finishing up his doctorate in St. Louis area.
Okay.
So then we were just kind of driving back and forth. It was like a 7-hour drive. We would do it every kind of. He would always remind me, like, he did it more than I drove down to him, because I had work, and it was like, for a 7-hour drive, it's hard to justify that with like a 2-day visit.
Yeah.
It's more like you want to go for 4 or 5 days, and he had more flexibility at the time. So
That makes sense. Yeah.
but after he finished up, and he got a job out in Idaho.
How did you guys meet originally?
On Tinder.
Nice.
While I was on vacation.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, the classic. Yeah, so it was funny. I was visiting a friend, my friend Will, in St. Louis, and I still remember this. We were like walking around doing some shopping, and then there was like a storm rolling in, and we were like, oh, let's just like hide out in this bar right here. Let's just just wait it out. And then I'm just at the bar, just swiping away on Tinder, and me and Seth, we just matched, and then we started talking incessantly, and then we started FaceTiming from there, and then eventually he was actually visiting his family in Springfield, Illinois, which is like kind of halfway between where he was living at the time to his parents, and he was just like, fuck it, let me just come visit for a weekend and stuff, and yeah,
Rest is
is
history.
history.
That's
Right.
awesome.
The best part though was during COVID, when he started his job, they were obviously everything was shut down, and he was able to work 100% remote. And so he actually was able to live here collectively for about like 15 months or so, which is really
That's
nice.
nice,
Like
yeah.
like at my house. Yeah, so we really got to just kind of feel that all out. Like, okay, yeah, we can stand each other, we can live together. Like, this works really well.
I feel like that was like the COVID
but-
was like definitely like a trial period for a lot of relationships.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Yeah, I remember when it first hit. Like, there was like a huge surge in like divorces and stuff, and I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, but for us specifically, yeah, it was nice, because otherwise it would have been me just moving to Idaho on just the hope that we can live together, which which a lot of times, like, that's where relationships fall apart, is when we try to live together. You just realize it's a disaster.
From my experience, that's so. What happened to me during COVID was the exact opposite. So I went through a breakup during that time.
Oh, there you go.
Hey, it's all things for the better, though, right? I know things have changed a lot, and especially being in the EDM industry and stuff like that, things are definitely very accepting. But your fiance is a guy. Has that been a challenge at all for you at all, like through music or anything like that, or throughout your life?
So I came out when I was like 16, so I've been out for a while now. And yeah, my family's all happy with it and everything. So yeah, didn't have any issues there. And then, being Milwaukee, this is a very liberal city. So never really had any issues there either. And then in terms of music, honestly, I still think that like my biggest Instagram post ever was when I just posted like the photos, just like, like when he proposed to me, because we were on a hike in Idaho, and like, I actually never really, because I was like planning on like, coming out like publicly, because again, it was kind of exhausting to be like, out like with literally everyone.
Right.
But then for music, it's like, oh, I don't mention it. It was just kind of like, I knew it didn't feel right, but I didn't want to like, it's kind of hard. How do you do it, right? Because it's like one day you just make a post,
right?
Like, hi, I'm I'm gay, or you could do it on like National Coming Out Day, but it's like, well, you're already out,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
what the hell, you know? So, but yeah, I mean, the interactions, I mean, all the messages I got when I did that, a lot of people were like, "What the fuck? I had no idea," and it was awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's crazy that
So.
you waited until like the proposal and you're like, oh yeah, guys, by the way.
Yeah, I know, right? That was kind of like in my head. It was like this is
Yeah,
perfect,
that's
you know,
super
because
cool.
like it's like you just skip like the first 10 steps. You just go straight to like, oh hey, by the way, I'm engaged.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome. Yeah, especially especially in the
yeah,
EDM industry too. There's a list
hmm
of people that are
yeah,
non-binary, gay, straight, whatever. There's like a mix of everyone, so it's
yep,
like no one's really judgmental,
hmm
and I feel like it's a really good industry to be in, to have a
I
successful
agree.
career.
Hmm
Yeah, because I know in other careers, like how's it been in like engineering?
I know that like where we're currently, it's like I have a couple of coworkers that like they know and
Mm,
stuff, and like I talk about it openly with them, but I definitely don't make it a point to like come out to anyone, you know, because I kind of have that reservation of just like you never know what anyone's
true.
thinking or like how they feel, or you know they can say one thing but think the other something
Big
else.
facts.
So it's kind
Yeah.
of like it's better to just kind of be safe about it and not really bring it up, you
Hmm.
know. And that's going to be much more so the case we live together in Idaho Falls, because I mean it's Idaho. It's you know
Yep.
it's a deep, and it's not like a deep red state, but it's very red, you
Yep.
know. And we've already talked about it. Where like me and Seth were like what's the story if we get
Hmm.
someone coming to our door, you know, that's like knock knock, oh hey, I baked some cookies, I just want to meet you, I'm your neighbors. And it's like we were talking like, oh maybe it's like we're friends, you know.
Yeah,
like
we're just
maybe it's
roommates.
like I have
Yeah.
the house. Exactly,
Yeah.
you know, until we feel it out and we can decide later, like, oh, okay, they're actually like they're totally fine. We can tell them, you know. But we both have the same mentality of like, you know, I just like, you know, putting out like a pride flag outside or in front of our house. It's just
Yeah.
like that scares me even in like Milwaukee,
Yeah.
because you never know, because again all it takes is one person to have, I don't know, whatever going through their head that day to just do something stupid.
Absolutely.
So
And at the end of the day, who gives a shit?
yeah.
Do what makes you happy, man.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely,
Yeah.
exactly. Oh, absolutely, yeah. And that's the thing too, yeah. Because I think for me and stuff, like it makes us happy to
Yeah.
just kind of, you know, just play it on the safe side. Like
Yep.
there isn't some like, oh, we want to like, you know, like be very public and like, you know, and whatever. But it's not really like a desire, you know.
And it keeps
But
it. I
again,
feel
like
like to a certain.
I've been out forever.
Yeah. To a
Yeah,
certain degree too, it keeps it a little bit more your relationship a little bit more intimate between like keeping it small,
absolutely.
keeping
Yeah,
yeah, that's cool. So let's
absolutely.
get into music. How long have you been doing
Yeah,
music? How
let's
long
do
have
it.
you been a musician?
Yeah, yeah. So I started producing in 2010.
Okay, that's been a
And so
while
it's
then.
been 12
Yeah.
years. Yeah, it's been a minute, but there's just a couple like little like I guess segments in there.
Hmm.
So like 2010, I was like 17. I still remember this. I didn't have actually like much of a musical taste at the time. I was basically listening to like my dad's like classic rock station, or I was listening to some piano music that I was like working on, you know, like Chopin and stuff like that. And I actually asked this as a shout out to my friend Skiba. I asked him one day. I was like, "Yo, I need to develop like a taste in music, you know." And I was like, "Can you just send me someone I should listen to?" And then he was like, "I can't think of one person. I can think of like five though." And I was like, "Yeah, send it
Yes,
over."
please.
And one of them was actually it was Dead Mouse, and
Oh, sweet.
that was really like my segue into the whole thing, because I remember like listening to his entire discography front to back several times, just being completely obsessed, and then about like a year or so later was like I had the realization that I really wanted to just make music and stuff, because I guess but before starting producing, I was doing like piano
Right.
lessons for like 8 years in there. I also did like piano composition lessons, so like writing your own
Mm.
music.
That
I
definitely
kind of
helps with
just
composing
started
now.
just yeah. It kind of, at least in my head, it was like, you know, I'm already writing music.
Hmm.
It's for piano, and I've also been a huge tech head for like ever. Like I built like my first computer in like eighth grade or
Oh,
something like
perfect.
that.
Yeah.
And I've done. I worked. My first job ever was like a computer repair shop, you know, in my hometown, and then in college, like when I was in school, like because I was like co-oping, so like there's semesters where I wasn't like in school, I was interning essentially, but I was doing like engineering IT when I was at Marquette, so
Okay.
like I've always had like that technical like backbone to
Well,
everything.
especially now
And
that you're a mechanical engineer too. Yeah.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah. But But right around that 2010 period, I kind of was like, I kind of had that realization of it's like, you know, everything that I'm like good at or that I've been doing up to this point, like actually applies or it directly translatable to like making electronic music. And I was just like, shit, I should do this, you know. And then I remember at the time I was like gaming like a lot. I was playing like TF2 like 4 to 6 hours a night, whatever summer that was. But then I remember this, I like completely just like quit computer gaming cold turkey and just started. But that was like about 2 years because that was like end of high school and stuff.
Okay.
And then going to college. The first 2 years of college, I remember like it did fall on the back burner because like it just college life and you know friends and just the whole thing and at the time like engineering was just very overwhelming, so just a lot of other things going on. But it was the summer of 2014. Right before then I made a new friend. We just met through a mutual friend, and it was one of those things where he was like I was like, listen, I overheard what he was playing on his headphones. He was like blasting some like dubstep, and I was like, oh, that's cool. I like dubstep, and he's like, oh, that's cool. I DJ. I'm like, oh yeah, I also DJ'd stuff, and he's like, oh, I also produce. Oh, I also produce. You know,
We just become best friends.
And
Yep.
then, yeah, basically that exactly. Yep. And then we basically just started. We just started making music together, and then I think we just did this old song. If anyone finds it, it was called like Redax with like two X's. I think it's hidden from my SoundCloud now, but after we did that, we were like, we should make a duo, you know. And then we were like, yeah, let's do it. And at that moment, I remember like all that motivation, inspiration that I had like 2 years prior, like it all just like 4 years prior, just all just resurged into my head, and it was like a complete like, what if I like just why was I not doing this for the last 2 years? Why was this not my focus? You know, and it just kind of reinvigorated like everything for me. And then funny story, what we called ourselves initially was Synymata. You know,
So that's one of my
because
next
his solo
questions.
project
Yeah.
name was Mata, and I was like, because like back then, like Big Room and stuff, there was like that duo. It was called like Nari Milani.
Oh yeah. Yep.
I think that's right. Like Adam, like that song. But so I was kind of thinking like, oh, we should do like a a blank and blank kind of name. And then I came up with like Synym, just like because I think I was looking up I was looking up every word I could think of, like whatever the word was, synonym.
Got it.
And
Yeah.
then eventually I just kind of shortened cinema, a synonym to Synym, and then I was like Synymata was kind of cool. But then we simplified it later to just Synymata.
He stopped making music then? Is that why you kind of took over like
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So about a year later, it was obviously like it was good at the beginning, you know. We had like a lot of ideas and stuff, but as time progressed, we definitely kind of were like, I was the one putting in like 90% of the time, and he would kind of like disappear like days at a time, and I'd be like texting him like, "Yo, where the hell are you? Like, let's get in the studio." And eventually, we literally had like, it felt like a breakup because
Oh no.
he was like, "Yo, hey man, like, can you come over? We should probably talk." And I was like, "Yeah, we should probably talk." Like we both kind of knew what it was going to be
Yeah.
about. And I still remember this. This is so like, it was so, I don't know. I had this song a long time ago come out. It was called Crystal Cedar. Never went to spot distribution. It was just like a SoundCloud label thing. I know it's floating around on YouTube still, but that song got uploaded to, back in the day it was like EDM.com, but like their dubstep SoundCloud
Yeah.
channel. Um, and that song came out the same day that we met up together, and then he was like looking at it when I came over, and he was like, dude, like you're really taking things really far here, and like I know I'm in your way, and like I think you need to keep going just by yourself. Like this is really your thing. And I was like, and I kind of agree with him at that point because I know there was a lot of shit happened, but we're on good terms.
If he's able to come to you and be like, "Yo, I'm getting in your way. Like this is your thing," like, he's actually able to like come to
Yeah.
terms with that on his own, and there wasn't really an argument. Absolutely, that's super cool of him.
Yeah, and the thing with that song too was it was like that song got like 20,000 something plays on SoundCloud, which at the time I don't think I ever saw anything over like 200, 300 plays in anything. So like it was kind of like because like the same day that we like split was the same day that song came out, and it kind of served as this kind of like just validation that I was at least on some kind of the right path or whatever. that kept me going because initially it was really hard to kind of accept it's like, oh, now I'm on my own, you know. But because of that song and just the timing of it all, it just was like, okay, no, I have to keep going with this by myself, and here we are.
Here we are.
So.
How long after that did you
Yeah.
do the one of the official remixes for "Love Is Gone"? Because I know that was like your first song to hit 1 million. I think that was a huge song for you.
So that came out beginning of 2020. So that would be
Okay.
5 years after, because Crystal Cedar came out, I think, 2015. Yeah, and so that was about 5 years, and lot of growth and changes were made in that period. Like I went through the whole trippy trap kind of phase, and then I did some like future bassy stuff, and then I pivoted more to like mid tempo, and then the that Love Is Gone remix was kind of the beginning of the more just bass music, melodic bass, like I don't know, like whatever that realm is, whatever people like to call it, is kind of the beginning.
Basically,
of that.
what you do now.
Yeah, so they.
Yep,
yeah.
yep.
So that was I think I did that. Obviously, it came out like January. It was like the very beginning of January 2020 or something like that. So I did that like it was like end of 2019 when I like made that remix. So
what? How did that whole thing? Like, what's the story of that? Like, how did you get the opportunity to be able to do that?
So that was funny because I remember I saw on Twitter like Slander I think it was my manager maybe. I think he saw on Twitter that like I think they did like the typical like "Love Is Gone" remixes, all caps, space, question mark, and it's just kind of like hyping it, and then I was like, oh damn, that'd be so sick to do that. And then my manager was like, yo, just hit him up, just fucking see, like you never know. And I was like, really, come on, you really gonna care? And he's like, dude, like a closed mouth is never fed, just fucking hit him up. And I was like, all right, sure.
Squeaky wheel gets the
so
grease.
yeah, exactly, and Derek, like he responded and he was like, yeah, dude, I mean, we already have the remixes all finished, but I can send you the stems, you can just take a stab at it, and I was like, yes, please, give me, and that was the thing with that. And I mean, and any like little advice to some people like producers like listening to this, it's like in that moment where I had that little, the door was cracked a little bit open, it's like when you go to like blow wide open, it's like shoot your best shot, and so for that remix, I remember I had this initial idea which was it'll never see the light of day because it was like two very different drops, and it was just it was a mess, and I pounded on that thing for like 2 weeks straight, and it didn't really work out. But I also realized that I started to realize that my thought process behind it was not really sound, and then I like redid it a second time, loved what I did, and then I finished it. I bounced. My process heavily involves like producing to a set of stems essentially, and then I sent that to my buddy Dylan, who goes by like Sinclair, to do like the mix master on it, and we like went back and forth with the mix master, and it was like finished, ready for distribution, and then I shoot it to Slander, and I was like, hey, this is like kind of what I did. Let me know if you like it, after slaving away for a minute, but it was like done, from my perspective.
How long was the writing process?
And they loved it. So that one specifically, I remember it was like about a month total, but the first 2 weeks was like kind of thrown away because of that other version that I was going for. And then the second version, that was like a 2 week thing. But yeah, so then I sent them that remix. They loved it, and then but at that time the pack already came out. But then Derek, we were talking, and he was just like, "Yo, dude, we'll just like upload it, like just like a surprise extra thing, beginning of 2020, which is really sick." So, yeah, and that really was like what really like kind of spurred everything. Going forward.
After that, when did they approach you to actually do the collab? When I'm with you, like when did the "when I'm with you" kind of thing happen?
So I pitched that to them. I was I was working with Neverwaves on "Bury Me Alive," which I think came. I'm trying to remember. I think "Bury Me Alive." Yeah, "Bury Me Alive" came out after "When I'm With You." I think it because I came out on Dim Mak. But it was funny because it was just because we were trying to find a place to like put that song. We had already finished that track, and I mean Thomas, he's super sick to work with. And I kind of just floated the idea to him one day. I was like, dude, we should just pitch something to Slander, I think they would go for it, and he's like, really? I'm like, yeah, dude, I think we should do it.
Yeah.
Like, why not? Let's just see what happens, and so he started up an idea, and funny story, so the original hook of that song was "My life is better when I'm asleep." And that was kind of the context of the entire song. It was like more of like a depressing kind of thing, where it's like, my life is better when I'm asleep, not when I'm with you. But that was the initial idea that we started with, was when I'm with you. And he wrote, like, because he also produces and stuff, so he like wrote like a simple demo to it. I took the vocal stems that he did initially, then I kind of sketched out like an idea, and then that's what I pitched to. At that time, then I had Derek's number, so then I was like texting him like, "Yo, dude, I have this thing. I would love for you to hear it. I'd love to do a collab with you if you're feeling it." And I think because off the bat, because then Derek mentioned like, yeah, like I love the idea. He just thought that the hook was a little depressing, right. and actually looking back, it actually made a lot of sense, because it, like, a lot of their music is very uplifting, Absolutely. Has really like very positive energy around it. A lot of
stuff about relationships and stuff too, which is very fitting to their brand.
Yeah. Absolutely. So then it was funny, because then we were just on like this, we were just FaceTiming at this point. And he was like, what if the hook was just like, my life is better like when I'm with you, just like off the cuff. And I was like, actually sounds kind of cool. Like, it sounded fine. I was like, yeah. And then I told that to Thomas, and then we were looking at the lyrics, and we were just like, yeah, you know what? Actually, the way that all the verse lyrics wrote out, like, it actually, like, it just recontextualized all of them in like a way that worked like perfectly. Or maybe we changed a couple things, but like it just worked out nicely that way. But yeah, that was definitely a huge step up for me to have that come out, because it really, like, I kind of knew, like, it, just like the energy it's just surrounding just like the Synymata brand and stuff, it definitely shifted after that. Like, there was just a lot of opportunities that opened up as well, and that was huge for me.
Were you already with Shay at the time? Has Shay always been your manager?
Yes, first and only.
Okay, got you. I've heard great things, and I've actually talked to Shay on a personal level. He's amazing and very smart person. So,
I love him. Yeah, I have been so lucky to have him, because I picked him up. Well, we kind of found each other. That was like 2018. It was. I actually remember this. I think we signed the paperwork. The song came out. It was with my friend Ian. It was like the Future on Synesthesia. It was like right around the same time when that song came out. And we started like working together. He didn't have that many artists at the time either, but since then he's grown. He's like a shit ton.
A lot. Yeah.
And then we did a Prodigy, and then now he's with SoundCloud. Like, he just went 0 to 100 like real quick. So
that's awesome.
And it's been really good to kind of see that growth in him, as he's seen in me that whole time.
Absolutely. Let's go back to your engineering, because I want to ask you about that. Where did you go to college again?
Marquette. It's like a Jesuit university. Yep. And then they have everything there: nursing, business.
Got it. So it's just like a normal university type of thing.
Yeah.
Got it. Is your long-term game plan to continue doing both engineering and music, or is there a time that you want to be able to transition into music full time, or like what's your thoughts?
Yeah. So. Yeah. It's interesting, because I feel like most people would have that answer of like, yep, I'm ready to just bail the second that I can and just do music full time, and that's the case for me, especially like if well, technically the job that I just took, they require you to be there for at least a year because of the relocation benefits and everything. But the thing is that the second that I have the ability to do music full time and do it comfortably, I would definitely take that up for sure. I want to. The funny thing is with engineering, I've been doing a lot of R&D stuff for the last 5 years, and that's like my job, research and design.
Oh, got it. Okay.
So it's a lot of like new product development, where I currently work, and then that's kind of what I'm going to be continue doing when I'm in Idaho, and I've been lucky to kind of have a role like that, because it's. I mean, like anything has like grunt work associated with it, but what I've been doing a lot, it's a lot of like new development of ideas, concepts, and stuff like that, and it's kind of striking, when you kind of compare like least in my case, like music production and like the kind of engineering that I do, there's a lot of parallels between them. Cool. And it's kind of like, I've kind of realized this, I mean, at least a few years ago, that I was like, I really enjoy creating things and kind of, getting to like kind of go through that entire process from idea, like realization to like the finishing touches, and like that whole flow is that's music, and it's almost like, whenever you're like with music in general, it's basically you're just doing like R&D on every single song. That's basically what you're doing. You're just trying to create a new concept every single time. And engineering is kind of the same thing, well, at least the kind that I've been doing. It's a lot of that. And I have some ideas. Like I've posted a few times on like reels and stuff about like this desk I've been designing, which is actually basically done. It's, well, the desk is it's a desk that I designed. This one that's in my studio right now.
Your studio is sick, by the way.
It's kind of like a weird shave.
Yeah,
thank
very
you.
cool
studio.
Yeah.
And the desk, thank you. Yeah, and the desk in there, yeah, like that was, I designed that myself, and like I actually and I enjoyed it, because it was like I couldn't find anything that I thought was like really nice, like, that I wanted to sit at all day, on the market, and I was just like, fuck it, I'm just gonna make my own, because I can't see I don't see anything that I want. And yeah, so I made this like 4 years ago, and then I have this new version that I really want to make at some point. And the idea for the new version is, it's more of like the design approach on it is more, it could be volume manufactured, I'm pretty sure, which kind of opens a couple of doors in terms of kind of selling it and stuff. But that all that is so like at minimum years off, because I'm just one person, and to even discuss like doing some kind of like a startup thing or some like Kickstarter, like that is a whole
years
like
and years and years.
That is so much to but if I had my way, I would say I would be jumping into music full time, doing that, and then when the time is right and I have like the right platform to leverage, then I would, my dream would be to then kind of do this whole like this like desk thing.
Sweet.
Because I think that's a cool story. Like
that's awesome.
Someone that like literally sits, it's kind of like someone that literally sits at a desk all day, and then they design their own, and then they think that it's something that people would also enjoy.
Well, it's the idea of like
at too,
when like I see a bunch of like influencers and stuff that create their own businesses, it's like, what do they like? And then they design their own product based off like a new rendition of like, okay, I like this stuff, but these are some of the ways that I can make it better. And I think that a lot of people that like me and follow me, and like you said, leveraging your platform, a lot of people that like me and follow me might have the same opinion if they use the same product. So that's, to other musicians or whatever, like that, your market's already established.
No, because exactly. Because I really think that there's something to that, where it's like, wow, the producer made his own desk. It's not just someone that was like, oh, I want to dive into making studio desks, and then they interviewed someone. Oh, like,
I have no idea what to make.
And they use that one. So I would love to. Yeah, that's something that I would love to do. Cool idea. But again, it's just like it's very ambitious, and it's just and to get there, it requires a lot of other things to fall into place first.
So with engineering, I've talked to other engineers. I know Hello World. Yeah. My conversation with him and some other people that I know from the engineering world sometimes feel like they almost got like pressured into becoming an engineer. And for you, it doesn't seem like that, because you're like, I still want to be a part of this, and there's reasons why I like this still. But was there any form of like pressure? Did you feel like you kind of had to do that?
Yeah, I would say yes and no. So the thing is, I totally know what they're referring to with like the pressure
like
thing.
Like from parent society, just outside
so for example,
pressure, like telling you like, you should do this because of the security, basically.
Yeah. Exactly. Like my mom, she's from Poland. She moved here when she was like in her 30s. So I mean, she's very, very Polish. And my dad's from Germany, so I'm technically like a first generation immigrant, right?
Yeah.
That's what you call it. But but like that very like that European mentality of my mother like really was instilled into me at a very young age, and also to my sister she's now a doctor. and it was kind of like the, and I don't think this is not like really true, but like the way that my mom like kind of painted the picture for me was like, if you don't go to college and do something like, like go into some like, meaningful field, you're just gonna like just wither up and die or something, was like kind of how she approached it. And she would always like in high school, I kind of was a little like, she had to kind of kick my ass a little bit to like just stay on top of things and stuff. But she kind of instilled that into me at a very like young age, and like I kind of in my head I was like, I have to do something like that or she's gonna like disown me, It does help though that I did a lot of like growing up. I played with like Legos like incessantly, and then if anyone's listening, if they've heard of First Robotics,
I think I've heard of that
FLL,
actually.
FRC, like it's like a program to kind of instill like STEM, STEM things into people, and so I did that I loved it. I did that for like 7 years. I was like 6th grade to 12th grade. That was just like my thing. And that really was, I would say, what really pushed me to go into mechanical engineering. Was like I loved doing mechanical stuff like that. And at the time when I was like, deciding what I wanted to go into, I still remember this because this was, like right before like 2012, so I was already making music and I was already like had this like dead set idea that I wanted to, be a producer. I started looking up things like, oh, like what if I went into music instead of like engineering? And then I looked up like audio engineering, and then I looked at like how much those people make, and I was like, oh
No
wait,
way.
never mind, because it was like, yeah, it was like pennies, and I was like, wait, that's not, I don't want to do that. And so then I was like, you know what, I'm going to stick with engineering, and I'm going to go to a school that's in a city that I know is going to have venues and clubs and people that are probably associated with the music industry, which is very true with Milwaukee, because you have like the Miramar, you have the Rave, and then we used to have like Site 1A, then also Turner Hall downtown. They do some EDM shows there too. But it was it was the right move to come here for that, because I did have that exposure, and now I have like just like the financial stability to really pursue music in the way that I want to because of that. So like I'd say like yes and no. Like I had a bit of that
But
from
you
my
also
mom,
wanted
but
to,
also it really was my decision to and then I definitely have found enjoyment in doing engineering work, because I've been kind of lucky with just kind of the jobs that I've had. So
what about like juggling music and engineering? Because I know that's kind of a lot.
Oh yeah,
it's like a full-time job on both ends.
Yeah, it's a grind for sure. And before COVID, I mean, it was literally I would go to work, come home, like I would then like just sit here from like it'd be like 5 to 11 every night, go to sleep, rinse and repeat, Monday through Friday. And then weekends, I would think of my weekends as like when I can get the most done, because I would have like all day Saturday, Sunday to do a lot of stuff. And then COVID happened, and that was it was kind of a blessing in a way, because like where I work, they told everyone, hey, bring your laptops home this weekend because of this COVID thing. Let's just to be safe, maybe we'll work from home for like a week or so.
Right.
Fast forward
first parts of it was like a week or two, maybe a month, and then it was like 2 years.
Yeah, so I still did my job. I still was very very good about that. But it was like nice because the days where you're like, it's 3:30 and like you just finished something that you've been working on for 7 hours. It's kind of like you just have that. I had the ability to just kind of just work on music then, and just kind of conserve that energy, that would have been spent on, waking up a little bit earlier to be there at work for this like sprint meeting in the morning,
and all the commuting and stuff like that.
Having to drive home. Yeah, I've been lucky though, because when I bought this house here, I specifically bought it because in this location, because it was, well, the place has moved now like to more downtown, but it was like a 5-10 minute drive to get to work on back roads, very quick. And that was intentional because I knew, if every single day I had to drive 30 minutes or whatever because of traffic, like that's going to eat into my time. And, over a week, again, with the energy, like just energy, just like if I have to wake up even earlier, but now I'm tired. I think the thing, because I've had people ask me this a lot too, it's like, well, how do you juggle all this? And I remember when I was like co-oping in college, I was doing the same thing where it was like I would, be working, and I was like punching a clock then too. I was like 8 a.m. punch a clock, 4:30 punch a clock because I was just an intern. Uh, and I would come home as a half-hour drive to that place, come home, work at music every day, go to sleep, wake up, and I remember at one point I was like, "This is not
Yeah.
sustainable. This is really taxing." I could feel it. I was just really, I would burn
Yeah.
myself out a lot. I would get really exhausted every day and stuff, and then I think I told myself like, okay, at some point I need to like back off. I need to like kind of back off on this a little bit. This is very, it's just too much. And I never did. I just got used to it, you know. Which good
Yeah.
and bad, right? I mean, the good of it is it's like I've gotten to where I am now because of those decisions. The bad is just I definitely have grown distance from like a lot of people.
For anyone who, even entrepreneurs who have like a side hustle and then they also have like a full-time job, it's like, gosh, that's the hardest thing, is
Yeah,
keeping the relationships in your life like stable and like keeping in contact with everyone. It's like I can't even keep in
absolutely.
contact with myself. Like, and just like turn into a
Yeah,
robot
yeah,
after a certain
exactly.
point.
And that's the thing with Seth, because like when we first started like talking, up to that point, I was kind of like I always viewed getting into a relationship as like almost like the kiss of death in a way
Yep.
to like music, because if it turned into like the daily like, oh, Netflix and chill, or let's hang out all weekend kind of thing, like there
Yep.
goes my time. But because we were long distance, it was actually kind of nice because whenever he visited or I visited him, it was like a
Right, right.
forced break, in the best of ways, because it'd only be
Hmm.
every couple weeks and stuff. And yeah, that was really nice. And then when we lived together, he likes his free time. He likes to
That's
spend
awesome.
time alone,
Dude,
like playing
independence is
games or
so
something like
important in a
that.
relationship.
And yeah, and I've told him this. It's like when he was living here, I would be like, I feel like I'm the worst because there's times when I want nothing to do
Yeah.
with you because I want to sit here work at music like literally all day, and then there's other days where I want everything to do with you because I just finished something, or I don't want to work on something that day, and then all of a sudden I'm like
Hmm.
all up in your business and stuff. And he's like, no, actually, it doesn't really bother me. I think it's fine. Like he understands like what I'm trying to do and stuff. Which is that right there is like I
Oh
take that for
yeah.
granted so often because I know a lot of people. I mean, a lot of relationships are very like it's you're just kind of hand in hand
Been
basically
there.
every minute that you have. That's yeah, exactly. So,
That's awesome.
but the whole balance is it's definitely hard, and I think a lot of it has involved just like
Yeah.
optimizing around certain things, like minimizing commutes. I've done a lot of like if you've heard of like Freshly
Oh
factory
yeah. Yep.
meals, like the
Yep.
meal delivery service thing. I've been subscribed to that for at least I think two
Oh,
three
nice.
years now. And it's I don't like I can enjoy cooking. Seth cooks, thankfully, and like when we've cooked things together.
I'm very much the same way. I have a full-time job, but then I also run the podcast. So I have a very similar schedule, and it's like it's hard. It's
Yeah,
like some nights I'm making dinner at like
yeah,
10 o'clock. Like, yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I eat at
Yep.
really weird times. Yeah, I just like because I just don't make time for it. I
Yeah.
don't budget my time for stuff like that because again, it's always been about optimizing my free time that I can
Yep.
spend here
Or eating at
in
your desk, or
music.
making, working on stuff,
And
eating at your desk.
I
Yeah.
all the time. I'm always eating here.
That's
Yeah.
funny. What would you say
Yeah.
are some other like healthy habits that you've created for yourself, like running such a busy schedule?
Yeah, I wouldn't say these have been
Yeah,
healthy
well,
so far, but
I mean,
it's kind of like again,
it's better
I
than eating
see it as like
McDonald's.
it's necessary.
Yeah.
That is true. That's very true. Yeah, because I used to I still remember this the first time that I started up with like Freshly for those meal delivery things. I had like a thing of Oreos that I was like
Hmm.
eating here. I was just like hungry. I was like, I'm just gonna try and just not be hungry by eating cookies. And I actually like got like nauseous from it because I ate so many and I
Oh,
didn't realize it. And when I was like laying like in the bathroom, I was like, okay, if I'm gonna do this to myself, then I have to at least eat
yeah.
better. So then but in terms of other healthy habits, like it's, I'm trying to think. Like I would say the biggest thing is, keeping those relationships like friends and stuff, like keep them in the picture for sure. Like looking back, like I think in terms of like how much time I spent here versus like how much time I could have spent like with friends and stuff. I think I kind of I kind of leaned too far into like the music side of things, because the reality is though is if you're not in a good mental state, and if you're not happy or you don't feel happy, and you're just kind of like you just feel exhausted, and you're going to try and sit down that day and like work on something, or like write something new, like it's not going to happen, and it should. Even like when Seth was here, like there was days where I was like, I made a decision. I was like, you know what, no, I don't feel like working on something today. We can go on a walk. We can go downtown. We can grab dinner. We can do something else. And then the next day, I felt so refreshed. And then I sat down and I can't remember what songs exactly, but there was a few in there where I think there was one that I was like, I can't remember what song it was, but just like at a high level, like imagine I was really stuck on a song. I went and spent like a night with Seth, and then the next day I felt refreshed, and then suddenly the song kind of made itself.
I feel like it's easier.
I was in a good
it's
mental
easier
state.
to tap into that flow state when you actually are able to take a break from it. It's like almost like using. You could burn. You could work more hours, but working more hours on something doesn't necessarily translate in music to a better product. And sometimes it takes you being able to take a step away from it and clearing your head to come back to have like fresh ideas. So a lot of people, and that's what I struggle with in the early days, just like the creativity portion of of the show and everything is like I would like be on my computer, and then I would like have so many like issues and conflicting issues that it was hard to find clarity. So when you're able to step away from it, it's a whole lot easier to find clarity.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think like, and that's definitely something that I think it's kind of toxic, right? Like the whole like grind thing, and like, kind of like just kind of like trying to like flex on people, like, oh yeah, I'm just grinding constantly. Even I know I come across like that a little bit, where I'm like, yo, I just spend all my time, on things, and I would say it, for the most part, it is true. Like, I mean, it's not normal. It's not abnormal for me to, spend like 14 hours on a song on a Saturday, because it's like I was in a good, I just started it. I was in my flow. Like I know what I want to do with it. I just have to do it, and like for me, I like to work as fast as possible with songs, because I feel like if you can hash it out as fast as possible, and then you can like render that, listen to that render when you're doing work or something, it's a really good way to kind of edit down what you're doing, because then you can listen to it and think through it and then come back to it and stuff. So but the more you have, the more you can capture in one session, the better. Yep. But but at the same time, like I taking breaks is so essential, and I know that I could take more, and there's definitely have been times even recently where like I probably should have just took a break that night and not be not like worked on something.
When you're so used to that grind mode though, do you ever feel like guilty when you from taking those breaks? I know for me, like sometimes when I'm like, I should be working, but I really don't have the energy for it, and like it's almost it's hard to not beat yourself up when you feel like that. I
would say in the last 2 years or so, I would say I haven't felt guilty. Not really, which has been nice, because before that there definitely was a period when I like would be very hard on myself, and I was like, if I don't want to work on music, then I should be looking at tutorials or some shit like that. Like this is going like back like 5 years ago or something, because I felt like I had because I didn't have any kind of like just like validation of like what I was doing at the time to kind of reflect on, but like today it's like I know that I've had several points at this point of things that I've been like, yeah, you know what, like, yeah, I did do that. Yeah, I mean, I did make that happen, and knowing myself better now, where it's like, I know I work better when I'm in the right mental state. It's like accepting that and realizing that, it's like it allows me to take those breaks and stuff. And then if there's a day where I'm just like, I just want to not do this for a day, I want to go like play a game or something, like yeah, I just do it, which is really nice, especially when you have those things you can think about where you're just like, yeah, like I know I can do this well. I kind of earned this right to give myself a break, and
do you have hobbies outside of music? To like what do you like to like when you're not you doing your engineering career and you're not working on music? What are some of the things that you kind of like doing outside, just to kind of step away from everything?
I would say PC gaming. I recently got into VR.
Dude, I just tried a VR
Some people in, like,
2 days ago.
Discord group.
I love it. It's so much
Really
fun.
nice. What were you
Oculus.
playing?
It was just my roommate. It's my roommates actually, but we were playing Beat Saber, and then we also played what was it? It was like an arcade type of simulation game. So yeah, super
Nice,
fun though. Very
nice.
basic stuff. It was my first time, so he was like, "I'll just keep it basic for now."
Yeah. I kind of went all out. I ended up buying like the
Okay.
Valve Index, and then I bought like the Vive trackers.
Nice,
I went
yeah.
all out. Just like I bought like 3 Vive trackers. I bought like this stupid fan you could put in
Yep.
front of the Index. And so yeah, I kind of just like went all out because I was because like yes, people in my Discord they were like, "Yo, you should just hop in VR chat. It'd be a lot of fun." And I was like,
Yeah.
"Fuck it, why not?" You know. And I and then I've been playing through Half-Life Alyx recently and stuff. So, but besides VR, I mean, I've been playing. I mentioned before, like I like quit gaming like cold turkey for actually quite like for several years. There was a point when I don't think I didn't even have Steam installed on like a computer for like I think 3-4
Wow,
years
yeah.
somewhere in there. But I think about 3 years ago, because again when I do have downtime and I do want to like take a break, it's like if YouTube gets old pretty quick, and sometimes it's like you kind of want to like stimulate yourself with something, and if it's not music, then like gaming is a great thing for that as well, and I think kind of back to the whole guilty thing, right? I've definitely found like a really good balance between like gaming and doing music, which I could say like I know like I mean going back 5-6 years, it's like I would feel very guilty if I was playing games because so often it would come from being frustrated with like a song, and I was like, I just don't want to think through this right now. I just want to just go play a game or something. But again, kind of getting to the point where it's like, you know what? If I can't figure this out right now, like I should come back to it. I should think through it later. I can go do whatever the hell I want otherwise, Cool. And so,
Gaming.
But yeah, I would say gaming is probably the biggest one, and then outside of that. It's really just kind of just hanging out with people, Seth. Like the typical social thing. Like I'm very extroverted. Which is kind of rough when you're trying to sit here.
I've never been diagnosed with it, but I am a very much extroverted person. I was an only child, so I was kind of pushed into that. So that for one, and for two, I've never been diagnosed, but like I'm pretty sure I have like at least slight ADHD because it's hard for me to like it. There's so many things.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Like my attention squirrel. Like it's hard for me to focus for a long period of time on something. But yeah, I can definitely relate with that. Another thing that with along with gaming, you had told me previously that you also started streaming on Twitch. How's that been going?
Yeah. So I just started that a few weeks ago. Yeah, I just some people in my Discord group they kind of mentioned that they would like. One guy was like, "Yeah, I would love to help you like edit, what kind of help me with anything that I kind of wanted to do." And he mentioned like he edited videos, and I was like, you know what? Like I've wanted to do like streaming for such a long time because I've been for about 2 years now. I've been doing a lot of mentoring, like one-on-one mentoring sessions and stuff, and I actually really enjoy doing it. I think I've found I would say that I have a bit of a knack for like kind of helping. I guess diagnose issues with like people and like their songs and their process and stuff. Like I've had people come and to like we do a call and they're just like, "Yo, dude, I've been stuck for like 6 months. I feel like I haven't been able to progress in anything that I do, and it's just help me, please, God. Like just I don't know what I'm doing, And I'm just like, yeah, like and to me like those kinds of calls I think I find the most interesting because it's really. Because I asked like, okay, I want to hear like everything that you've made recently that you think is like that is relevant to where you are and stuff, and then we like break it down and we think through it. And a lot of times people come out with those calls just being like, holy shit, I can't believe I didn't think about that. And a lot of times it's usually like something to do with like writing, that they're not writing full songs out, they're more so trying to overproduce something that's not really fully fleshed out yet. And so like kind of from there, like I've found a lot of like a lot of I find it to be a lot of it's really fun to do that, and then with the Twitch thing it's kind of an extension of that, doing like song breakdowns.
So that's what I was going to ask you next is, do you stream gaming stuff or is it music related stuff do you use Twitch for, or both?
Music related,
Okay.
for right now. Yeah, I'm starting with doing a lot of song breakdowns for right now, just to kind of get used to it, and I want to just upload those just pretty much raw to YouTube. And there's a couple tutorials that I want to do too, but I don't want to like be known as some like
Right.
like YouTube producer person. Like it's
Right.
not my thing. But there's a couple things that I've like thought about where it's like I really want to do like a tutorial on like sidechaining, because the way that I do my sidechaining, I think is I can really add a lot of value to a lot of people's productions. But I have to kind of take the time and do like
Right.
a proper video and like kind of talk through it, explain my reasoning, my like the reason why I do certain things a certain way, just so people could like so if they can kind of see the value in the way that I do things, then they can probably be like, oh wow, that's probably something that I could apply to my own stuff, and I would love to do that,
Yeah.
stuff like that. But I don't see myself like getting like, I don't want to turn into
Stream,
just
yeah.
like all I do is stream and do YouTube videos, because it's one of those, because like, you can't really have it both ways, right? You can't be like, be known as a producer, be known as a YouTube
Yep.
tutorial person. I mean, I know there's some people that do tutorials that are, that are touring and stuff.
That's
but
just one more thing on your
I
plate.
just don't want to be known as like,
Yeah,
that's all I do.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it would be hard to balance another thing. What sorts of things when you first started your
Yeah,
Twitch
and
did you like? What have you learned since starting? Because I'm not a Twitch streamer, but like, what kind of goes into like building a channel, and like what equipment do you need and stuff like that?
I mean, I think I still have like only like, I don't know, like 20
Okay.
something like followers or something on Twitch. But I mean, I've watched a lot of streams and stuff, and I think the biggest thing obviously is just having like your setup not be shit, like
Right.
using like a decent mic, and just having like good controls over like, sharing your screen and all that. So but that's all, again, from just like from like the technical perspective of it, like that's never really
Right,
a
yeah.
hiccup for me. It's always like, okay, let me like just look into it. I grabbed like Streamlabs, and just yeah, works really well for that. I think the biggest thing is, I mean, for right now, it's like, anyone that starts streaming, it's like so often you feel like you're
Yeah.
streaming to like an empty room, and that can be a little demoralizing, and that's definitely what I'm feeling right now. Is just like I do a strong breakdown and I feel like
Nobody.
I'm talking to
Yeah.
myself, but the idea, though, at least with doing the song breakdowns, is that I can
Yeah.
upload that to YouTube, and that can collect plays and whatever
And you can-
over time. And the other big reason I like to do,
You can clip that out too.
Yeah,
Use it for
and exactly, yeah, that's the thing too, because when it comes to like the EDM world and promoting yourself and stuff, the one big thing that I felt by doing the streaming thing, even if it doesn't amount to like anything, it would make me more comfortable with doing video content. And that's why this podcast, I was like, hell yeah, let's do it, because I don't think of myself as like a shy person that doesn't want to like be in front of a camera. It's just really hard for me to do like the, hey guys, like I have a new song coming out today, like make sure you link in bio, man. Like
Story of my
like
life.
it's really like that. I just it's like that content is so
Yeah.
painful for me to try. And like Shay, he's like asked me like, oh bro, do like tease all your unreleased music and stuff. And it's like I think about it and I'm just like, I don't know how. I can't. I don't know how, because it just, because I feel like it's just gonna be cringy and weird.
At the beginning,
and stuff,
it definitely is. It took me so long to like
but
actually get used to like hearing back, like playback of my own voice. Now I'm used to it. I've been doing this for a couple of years now. But at
Yep.
the first start, I'm like, I sound like listening to yourself
Yeah.
is so awkward.
yeah, no, for real. And and that's the thing with doing like the Twitch streams and stuff. It like listening back to some of those recordings. It's like I've been getting more comfortable with that. And again, for people that that do care about maybe like me beyond just like my music, it's like there's now content that exists of me as a person, because before I mean the vast majority of content was literally photos and show footage, and that was it. And to me, like, a lot of producers that people like follow, religiously, it's like there's a personality behind them, like who they are, how they sound, you know what kind of person they are. And
They're
me,
able
it's
to
been
build
something.
certain like things that they enjoy in their own life, like one of my favorite people, and I bring this up all the time on the podcast, but I'm going to say it one more time. Subtronics with the kendama and like smoking weed and all that stuff. Like those are the things that he likes, and he can just build those into his brand, and then make products to make more money as merch and stuff out of those things. Yeah,
exactly.
Super smart.
Yeah, and so for me, it's like just kind of opening that door for myself to do more content, like video content and stuff. I think is so. I want to be comfortable with it because I think it's essential, especially today, to be comfortable with that.
Awesome, man. So. Well, we're running out of time here, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. A couple wrap-up questions. What is one thing that you wish for the up-and-coming producers within our scene to take away from like your journey and what you've experienced so far?
That's a great question. Just realize like what you're getting yourself into. Realize that this is a saturated market. There's a lot. It's not competition. It's not a competition, but you are competing for attention. And it's just kind of accept that and realize that. And you have to kind of play the game. I know for myself specifically, like for a long time, I've really had that. I know this is like people say this is like don't do this, but I know I still kind of did it, which is kind of like the field of dreams approach, quote unquote, which is like the if you build it, they will come. That
doesn't work all the time.
It doesn't work. Yeah, and for myself, it's like I mean, even to this day, I would say that 99% of my time has gone into the music, and over the years getting better at the music. And right now I'm at the point where it's like, what, I need to do other things. I need to do like stuff like this. This is perfect. Doing the stream, posting more, putting myself out there. That is going to add more value and grow myself more than just putting out more music. And it's hard for me to swallow that, but I'm getting there. And I think people should kind of realize that there really are, there's two parts to this whole thing really. Is like the big things that I would say to remember.
What are some exciting things that are coming up for you this year? What do you got on tap? Anything that you can give away or kind of tease?
Yeah. So I think the biggest show that I'm ever I've played to date, it's gonna be in December. That's at Lights All Night in Texas. I don't know. Fuck it. The booking is they said it's for main stage, so it's gonna be opening the main stage. Yeah, and I was looking at videos from like the last one, and I was like, "Holy shit, that's that's a proper
Disco
main
Donnie."
Stage. That's huge. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I'm really excited for that show, and then beyond that, there's a lot of talks of some some collabs and remixes that I'm working on and stuff, which I'm really excited for. And I think everyone always says it, right? But it's always like, "Oh yeah, next year is the year, man! Like this is the I think like next year." The way things are looking, I think it is going to be a really defining year, I think, which I'm really excited for.
So. Where can listeners find you and support you?
Yeah, find me basically any social platform.
Everywhere is Synymata.
Yeah, and I love that. I love that I own that URL. Even on OnlyFans, I have Synymata OnlyFans because I was like, I'm not letting someone else grab it and then have to pay them later.
The thing is, like, I've heard people buy like certain companies that are just like that become huge companies that other people buy their URLs and then they're able to sell the URL to whatever company that is. So yes, you jumped on it early. Great idea.
Exactly. Yeah. And but also join my Discord. My Discord has been popping recently, so I'm always in there chatting it up with people. So
excellent.
Yeah, come
one last final question. Ask this at the end of every single interview. There was one piece of advice you could tell yourself when you first got into the music industry and started pursuing your career. What would that be?
I would say honestly, find a mentor. I think so. Which, at the time, like 2014, I mean, the whole one-on-one mentoring thing, I feel like that's been a trend. Maybe the last 3 years it's been really popular. But that aside, I would tell myself find a mentor, because looking back, a lot of the struggles that I had, I think any producer that was much further along would have been able to say something like, dude, you just need to like I still remember like one point, like I was talking with said this guy, we were like messaging or something, and some idea I had. This is like 5 years ago or something, and he was like, like what's the hook on the intro? Like what's the thing that's grabbing me and pulling me into this? And then I was like thinking about it. I was like, oh, it's yeah, it is just chords. But they weren't like even like it just wasn't interesting, and like little lessons like that. It's like if I could have had that little lesson taught to me like 3-4 years ago,
Yeah,
I mean, who knows
a
where
couple
I would have
degrees
been
changes
then,
that is just like one idea from someone else or a mentor. Yeah, it makes a huge difference in the long run.
Yeah, so I'd say finding a mentor would have been the big things. I think that would have really accelerated.
Well, thank you so much again for being on the podcast. I'll hope you have a good rest of your day, and I'll talk to you soon.
Sounds great.